Kia ora te whānau, I hope you guys are well rested. Today, I want to use this opportunity to talk about the weight belt, okay, and how to use the weight belt, and I guess how to use your core a lot better. So, first things first, we need to understand intra-abdominal pressure. Okay, so in your torso, around the midsection, we have your abs, your abdominal section, and I guess that's probably one of the areas in our body when we're performing movements that we really need to try and learn how to engage better. The reason for this is because there's a lot of muscle in that area, but there's also a lot of space in that area with only kind of one structural skeletal part that holds the body upright. And then I guess there's muscles along that structural part of the body that support better than others, mainly just because of use. So if we look at the spine, you've got these kind of like two main groups of muscles called your spinae erectors, and they keep the spine kind of upright, help with extension, and then help going into rounding positions as well. But when we get down towards the lower part of the spine, which is kind of where the rib cage finishes and just before where the hips start, where the pelvis attaches to the spine, there's like a big kind of gap here. So this kind of area is where a lot of people get back injuries. So that lower back area, your kind of like lumbar section into your sacral section down the bottom there. And so we have to utilize the muscles that are in that area so that we can support this area a lot better. So we have tools to do that, like we've got the belt that we can use, but also you've got like a bunch of muscle, as I said before, that we can utilize as well through your abdominal section. The best way to engage this area is to try and expand our abs or expand our tummy. We want to think about this area like a can of Coke, or in this case, a can of Musashi, right? So when the can is closed, there's a lot of pressure inside the can to the point where I can stand on top of the can and it won't collapse, right? Because the pressure is so high, it's able to hold large amounts of weight on top of it without collapsing or being compromised, becoming compromised. So we need to mimic this type of pressure build in our own core sections. All right, so you've got that section. Now I want you to imagine the can empty. Okay, when the can is empty, there's no pressure inside the can, meaning that its integrity, the strength of the can itself, is all that is holding it up. And once I put a plate on top of it, or once I stand on the can, a section of the can becomes compromised and it breaks, right? It breaks down. And this is very, very similar to the way that your body functions through the midsection. So what you need to do is you need to create pressure and maintain pressure, and that's why when you do heavy lifts, your deadlifts or your back squats, and you're driving up through what most people would call the sticking point of the movement, that's why a lot of that area is where you break down if you cannot maintain pressure. Obviously, like, you need to still have strength in the main drivers, which in most cases for leg movements and deadlifts and squatting is through the upper thighs. Okay, so your glutes, your quads, your hammies. But if there is any kind of like break in the chain, a break in the link somewhere, and a part of that section is compromised, most of the time being our abdominal section, then what you'll find is it's very difficult to continue a drive once you start to experience fatigue, which is pretty fast when you are lifting heavy. So what we want to do is, it's good to practice with a belt, but you can also practice with a band, and you can also practice with just your hands. So what we want to do is we want to place our hands onto our waist, just below our ribs, push our midsection in as much as we can, and then we want to use our tummy to push our hands out. And that's the kind of sensation that we want to experience through our midsection as we're trying to engage that abdominal area. So if I take some of the slack out of my shirt, right? So now you can see my tummy, hopefully. And when I push out, you can see that little movement there created by pushing my abdominal muscles out as much as I can, okay? Same idea as I've had this, or maybe this is what I can do, is if I pull my shirt really tight, I'm going to push my tummy out as much as I can, bit of a side view, push my tummy out, and what that does is just starts to engage those muscles in that same section to support the lower back. Now if I put a belt on, perform the same thing, I want the belt to be tight because the belt is going to act like my hands or like my tight shirt. So I put the belt on nice and tight, so it's pushing my tummy in just like my hands were, and then I push into the belt with my core. Okay, so when I've got the belt set tight enough, like my hands were acting, I'm going to push into that, and I should feel a lot of support in this area now. All right, and the good thing is I can still breathe and talk whilst maintaining that pressure, that intra-abdominal pressure, and that's how the belt works. Now, a lot of you already understand this, and some of you don't, but that's the main idea behind what we're trying to achieve. When we're doing this intra-abdominal pressure, engaging your core the right way, it's good to practice with and without the belt. Okay, so with the lighter weights, when there's less tension going through your whole body, that's a good place to practice without the belt. And then as the weights start to become more and more heavy, we put the belt on, engage the same way, and then move through the positions, back squats, deadlifts, hinge patterns, and that's how we can practice maintaining that intra-abdominal pressure. Anyways, that's pretty much the whole video. I hope you guys enjoyed that little breakdown of how to build your own intra-abdominal pressure, how to utilize these weight belts. If you've not done them before, maybe start a little bit lighter with how much pressure you push into the belt. The belt is just for feedback, right? And as you become more warmed up in a lot of the movements that you do in the start of the workout, you're going to get more active through that midsection as well, and then you'll be able to push a little bit harder. Anyways, team, thanks for watching. See you later.